I can't outdo the Kelseys. I thought about trying to do that. But 2024 Time Athlete of the Year, 2-time Naismith Trophy. I mean, we could spend the entire podcast, Caitlin, just listing off like everything that you've been doing for the last 4 years. But Caitlin, I really appreciate you taking the time to just hang out for a little bit. It's good to catch up with you.
It. Thanks for having me on.
Caitlin Clark is back, and she's not holding anything back. In a brand new viral interview with the University of Iowa sports media, Caitlin dives deep into the moments that have shaped her career, reflecting on her legacy a week before her college jersey gets retired at Carver Hawkeye Arena from her unforgettable freshman year during COVID to her life as a college student. But that's not all she gets candid about: the WNBA, the friend she misses most, and even her surreal encounter with Taylor Swift at a Chiefs game.
I've been covering you since your senior year of high school, but you and I had never met face to face until after your freshman season, because they kept everything so strict due to COVID and everything.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of makes your rise kind of even more intriguing to me, because it's not even the fact that like you've elevated to where you are. You started from the bottom because there were literally no fans in attendance, and like even the TV deal was kind of suspect at the time.
And trust me, her thoughts on women's basketball and her most defining moments on the court, absolutely unmissable. Caitlin's insights are raw, authentic, and proof of why she's one of the most inspiring athletes in the game today. So sit tight, because we're breaking it all down right here, right now. Are you ready? Let's go.
So 3 words describe your Iowa career.
I'm going to say special.
Okay.
I'm going to say life-changing, but that's 2 words. Dang it.
It's a hyphen.
Okay, hyphen. Does that make it? Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll count it 1.
Special, life-changing, and impactful. I'm going to go those 3.
Clark kicks off with a bang, describing her career as special, life-changing, and impactful. But why those 3 words? Here's Caitlin reflecting back with a lot of gratitude.
Like impactful. And I think that from a standpoint of like, obviously I have had an impact on a lot of people. I'm very aware of that. But at the same time, I hope everybody knows they've had an impact on me too. Like it's a 2-way street, and getting to see the young boys and the young girls, or, you know, the people that have drove from miles and miles to come watch us, or whatever it was in college. You know, that has a huge impact, not only on myself, but our entire teams when we were playing. So I hope everybody knows it's a 2-way street on that.
Yeah.
And it really means a lot to us players, and certainly myself.
But our entire teams, when we were playing. So I hope everybody knows it's a 2-way street on that. And it really means a lot to us players, and certainly myself. Next up, Caitlin takes us back to where it all began her freshman year. During the height of COVID, remember those days, she opens up about what it was like playing in front of empty arenas with only cardboard cutouts and her family in the stand.
Honestly, I don't remember a lot of them. One of the only ones I really remember was probably the Iowa State one at home, where we came back from, I think, down 18 points. But like, we're playing in front of nobody. Like, there wasn't anything like super memorable about that year. Like, you're playing in front of cardboard cutouts and then like just your family members. So that was kind of a blur. And at some points, like, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, like, I feel like it gave me a year to kind of get my feet wet in college basketball. With that, I didn't have to balance road crowds, I didn't have to balance our crowd, I didn't have to balance all of that noise.
So what really happened during that Iowa State game, and what made it so special for Caitlin?
I look back and watch some of those videos of me celebrating after the Iowa State games. I think I made 3 with like 40 some seconds to go.
Oh yeah.
To put us up 1 maybe or something. It was a huge comeback anyway. And I was like celebrating like there was 15,000 people inside of Carver, and there was probably like 200 people in Carver watching us. So it's just really funny to laugh at myself looking back on, but it was good times.
But it was good times. But here's the twist. Caitlin reveals how that eerie, quiet atmosphere may have actually helped her adjust to college basketball.
That allowed me to kind of play more free and kind of figure out myself, and I don't know, just figure out how college basketball works. So, you know, it was kind of unfortunate that I missed a year of college basketball and being in front of our crowds, but at the same time, I try to look at it in a positive manner of like, maybe that helped me, and maybe like that was the starting point of like how I kind of got my feet wet in college basketball. And then obviously after that, it really took off. We played in front of nobody to not being able to get a ticket, which is pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, you got to play in front of your dog at least, though, too.
Yeah, that was basically the only person, my fake cardboard cutout dog.
And when the fans finally returned, let's just say her excitement was off the charts. Here's Caitlin in her own words.
Honestly, I think going into my second year, I was just so excited to finally get to play in front of people. I remember asking, it was the exhibition game. And I remember going up to Coach Fitz, I'm like, how many people do you think are going to be here? I kept asking, I was so giddy. I'm finding out how many people were going to come, what the crowd was going to be like. I remember being so excited to finally play in front of our fans and the people that have supported, the program far before I got there. So I just remember being super giddy about that. I remember just being so excited. I think there was probably 4,000, 3,000 people there maybe if I had to guess, but I was so excited to play in front of people that weren't my mom and dad and my teammates' parents. It was a taste of, kind of what could be or what had been for the program previously. So I just remember being so giddy about an exhibition game because it was just the first time that I got to play in front of our fans a year after I'd already been on campus, more than a year after being on campus.
Retirement at the University of Iowa is nothing short of historic, as only the third player in program history to have her jersey in the rafters. She reflects on the journey that brought her to this moment.
I guess now that enough time's gone by, what's your kind of thought process about your jersey getting retired and knowing you don't even just have your mark on the floor, your jersey is going to be in the rafters forever?
From wearing the iconic number 22 to making an indelible mark on the court, Caitlin shares how this wasn't a goal she set, but a testament to the love and dedication she poured into the program. Let's hear Caitlin talk about what this honor means to her.
It gets announced and it's oh, this is amazing and this is so cool. But I feel as the days kind of started to approach here and we're now a week away from this actually happening, I feel it's kind of becoming really real. And this isn't a goal where you show up to campus and you're I want to have my jersey retired one day. Nobody does that. Nobody thinks that way. You just gave your all for the program and the university. And, there's been a lot of really good players to come through our program and have, what have been National Player of the Year, Big Ten players, whatever it is. And I think we only have 2 with their jersey retired right now. Mm-hmm. So it'll be cool to be one of the few.
Special in the off-season, Caitlin's been putting in the real work, focusing on refining her game and preparing for an even stronger year 2 in the WNBA with the help of her new player development coach, Keith Porter. She's not just adding new skills.
It's hard to probably, really feel all the emotions until I'm going to be inside of Carver and really see it and experience that with my family. And I'm not usually a very emotional person, but I feel this will probably make me a little more emotional. And usually when we've had certain things inside of Carver, I've been competing or playing shortly before something like that has happened, whether it's been a senior night or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to kind of evoke emotion after you just competed for 40 minutes. But now that I'm not actually going to be playing, I feel I'll probably be a little more emotional, even though I'm not a super emotional person. Thankful to have played at a place that loves women's basketball in the way that it does and has really helped me flourish. And it'll be exciting for me to go back and be inside Carver. I haven't been there since I played my last game. So it'll be really special.
But fine-tuning the ones that make her so dominant. On the court, you have a new strength coach or player development coach. At the Fever now, 2 new player development. Coach came over with Steph White from Connecticut, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to be in Indianapolis and working out with him. And he, like Keith, just loves the game of basketball, you can tell. And he puts a lot of time into it, what we're going to work on every single day. But how does that look in a long-term plan of my development?
You have a new strength coach or player development coach at the Fever now too, right?
Yeah, new player development coach. Came over with Steph White from Connecticut, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to be in Indianapolis and working out with him, and Keith just loves the game of basketball, you can tell, and he puts a lot of time into it. It puts a lot of time into, what we're going to work on every single day, but how does that look in a long-term plan of my development and adding little things and refining certain things that, can help me be much more successful in year 2. And then also just trying to get stronger and be in the weight room a lot. So It's been fun. I feel like this is the first time I've really had a chance to like really work on my game and work on my craft
Yeah.
and be really focused on it. And obviously that was hard. In college, even going into my senior year was really the last time I could work on things and add things. But
what are your goals for yourself for this season? Maybe for Caitlin this season?
My goals for Caitlin, I just want her to just destroy everything, right? Like I want to give her like the extra tools to where now the way the teams used to play her, you can't do that anymore. You're right. You can't force her to take these shots. So now what do? You just got to take that. You just got to take these points and just get on the other end, right? So that's my goal. I want her to just feel super comfortable in every scenario, every coverage, whatever it is, and just destroy teams, right? The goal is ultimately a championship.
Do you see MVP Caitlin on the rise?
Absolutely.
Caitlin and adding little things and refining certain things that can help me be much more successful in year 2, and then also just trying to get stronger and be in the weight room a lot. So it's been fun. I feel like this is the first time I've really had a chance to like really work on my game and work on my craft and be really focused on it. And obviously that was hard. I'm in college, even going into my senior year was really the last time I could work on things and add things. But what are your goals for yourself for this season? Maybe for Caitlin this season, my goals for Caitlin, I just want her to just destroy everything right like I want to give her like the extra tools to where now the way the teams used to play, you can't do that anymore. You can't force her to take these shots. So now what do you just got to take that you just got to take these points and just get on the other end right? So that's my goal. I want her to just feel super comfortable in every scenario, every coverage, whatever it is, and just destroy teams, right? The goal is ultimately a championship. Do you see MVP Caitlin on the rise? And absolutely Caitlin describes how this offseason is a rare opportunity to focus solely on her growth free from the jam-packed schedules of college basketball and the WNBA.
Amazing to me because you're fiery, you wear your heart on your sleeve on the court, you're driven, you're competitive. But I cannot remember one time where you've been in a post-game interview or a scuffle after the game or anything like that, and you haven't had like a clear head, you present yourself well. I guess, how do you kind of not let the cup of being competitive overflow into, I don't want to say public image because I know you, it is you, but it still can be difficult to present yourself in the way that you are sometimes just because of all the pressure and everything.
Caitlin Clark is fiery, intense, and laser-focused, a competitor through and through, but off the court, it's a completely different story. Caitlin opens up about how she shifts gears, leaving that fiery edge behind once the game is over. You're obviously very emotional on the court, say.
I feel like you got to be a good sport, whether you win or whether you lose. But at the same time, I think that's how I was raised. Like my parents, like was just an expectation. Like, you're going to be the same person you are, whether you win, whether you lose. You're not going to brag about winning. You're not going to, pout about losing and blame other people. You just get back up and keep fighting type of thing. And
that I'm very emotional on the court, but like off the court, I'm not super like, I try to just, I don't know, be like more relaxed. And I take a lot of pride in that. Like once I step off the court, I'm not as fiery, and I'm fiery, but it's not the same level as when I get competitive. And I'm in a game, it's completely different. She talks about being more relaxed and composed in her day-to-day life, striking a balance between her fierce competitiveness and her grounded personality. It's a fascinating look at the duality of one of the game's most passionate players.
I think evaluating yourself first is, you always got to look in the mirror. You're never going to be able to, whether it's a ref's call you were upset about, if it was this or that the other team did. Like at the end of the day, like the only thing that you can control is yourself and how that affects your team. Like you can't control anything else. And at times that certainly can be really, really hard. It's obviously way easier said than done. We've, as athletes, have all been there in any sport. People just get competitive, but I think I always try to remind myself, like, look in the mirror first, evaluate what you can do to get better.
Where does that balance come from? Caitlin doesn't hesitate to credit her upbringing for shaping her mindset. She shares how her parents instilled values of humility, accountability, and grace. Win or lose, I feel like you've got to be a good sport, whether you win or whether you lose. But at the same time, I think that's how I was raised. Like my parents, like that was just an expectation. Like you're going to be the same person you are, whether you lose, you're not going to brag about. Winning, you're not going to, pout about losing and blame other people. You just get back up and keep fighting type of thing. And for Caitlin, it's all about staying grounded, being a good sport, and always reflecting on what she can improve. It's this perspective that's not only made her an elite athlete, but a role model for fans everywhere. Let's hear Caitlin reflect on the lessons that shaped her approach to the game. I think evaluating yourself. First is you always got to. Look at mirror you're never going to be able to whether it's a ref's call you were upset about if it was this, or that the other team did. Like at the end of the day, like the only thing that you can control is yourself, and how that affects your team, like you can't control anything else. And at times that certainly can be really, really hard. It's obviously way easier said than done. We as athletes have all been there in any sport. People just get competitive. But I think I always try to remind myself, like, look in the mirror, first evaluate what you can do to get better. When asked about how she manages the media, here's what she had to say. Also, I try to, convey my thoughts to the media the best I can to help them understand the game and understand what I'm going through and what I'm thinking, and try to give thoughtful, authentic answers to help them. And I think that's been a great part of, helping our game grow. Two is, the articles that people can write, or the stories that people can tell, or how they can convey the game to people that are reading their article or listening to their podcast. I think that's really helpful to hearing it from a player's perspective. When Caitlin looks back on her college days, it's not just the big wins or buzzer beaters that come to mind, it's the little moments that truly stick with her, from grabbing meals with her best friends after practice to get this. Playing late-night video games, Caitlin shares the memories that made her Iowa experience so special.
That's certainly what I miss the most, is just, you're there with, your best friends. And obviously I have some really good friends on the Fever too, but there's nothing like you finish practice and it's like, all right, where are we going to breakfast? Where are we going to lunch? Like, who's coming? Like, and at Iowa, like, as everybody knows, like, we were very close-knit. Like, that was my family. Like, we loved each other. Like, if we had just gotten a little bicker on the court at practice, it didn't matter. We were going to still go get brunch with each other and talk about our lives and, go home and play Fortnite together, or talk about whose apartment we're going to all go chill in. Like,